So often, wild animals are the casualties of our human existence. Killed for profit. Their habitats under threat. Made to live in cramped spaces, poorly fed. They're destined to live out their lives in misery unless someone takes action. Wild Animal Rescue follows the people from the international animal welfare charity Four Paws as they go on daring and sometimes dangerous rescue missions to give animals a better life. In this episode, we follow Four Paws' efforts to give captive lions a better life.
It was clear that this can't last for long because the situation was deteriorating really visible.
How do these conditions affect the animals, and what's being done to return them to health?
Well, she and he is a hermaphrodite. Inbreeding is the most common cause of hermaphrodites.
And a shocking yet legal industry that's threatening South Africa's lions.
We're breeding very beautiful animals like battery chickens.
This rescue mission centers on 5 lions living in depressing conditions in the town of Baia Mare in Romania. For the last 2 years, they've been kept in these enclosures, a few hundred square meters of concrete floors and walls and steel bars, little bigger than a suburban apartment. And for the majority of that time, their only human contact has been with veterinarian Dr. Adin Miklaus. He knows their history ever since they first came to Baia Mare.
Și au fost aduși în anul 2002 în Baia Mare. Vârsta aproximativă 2 ani, dar nici și aceasta este relativă pentru că pe certificat scria 2 ani. Eu cred că sunt un pic mai în vârstă.
Those age estimates apply to the 3 older lions, Petrica, Lavinia and Lydia. They're siblings and originally performed as part of the Romanian state circus. But in 2002, the male, Petrica, attacked their trainer and they were no longer wanted. At that point, Dr. Miklaus brought them to the Baia Mare City Zoo.
Inițial am fi vrut numai 2, dar fiind 3 și noi având spațiu, au fost aduse la Baia Mare.
Baia Mare is a small city of approximately 130,000 people in the northwest of Romania. Its zoo was one of 36 in the country. But when Romania became part of the European Union in 2007, that all changed.
At that point, a lot of legislation has to be put in place. And one of the pieces of legislation that was necessary for Romania to implement was the Zoo Directive.
That directive specified certain minimum standards that all zoos had to meet if they were to continue to operate, with one of the most important standards being the welfare of the animals. Like so many zoos in Romania, Baia Mare did not come up to scratch.
Deci grădina zoologică a fost construită în 1950 și cuștile au fost foarte mici. Neavând autorizație de mediu, neavând spațiu propriu pentru animale.
Located in the old part of Baia Mare, the zoo had no more space it could access, and the local council had limited funds to work with.
There were different attempts to buy more land or to find other solutions, but at the end, of course, with no budget and of not being the biggest priority of the city, that was the decision of the council to close the zoo.
The EU legislation states that when a zoo has to close, the animals should be relocated to other institutions which meet the standards. If that isn't an option, then the animals should be euthanized. That was the situation Dr. Miklaus and his colleagues faced back in 2013.
Am încercat toate animalele care au fost, vreo 22 de specii, au fost date la instituții autorizate, conform legii, cu spații conforme, cu așa. Leii n-am reușit să-i relocăm pentru că nu i-a dorit nimeni. Așa s-a ajuns la înființarea acestui compromis.
And it truly was a compromise. The council was sympathetic to the plight of the lions and allocated them vacant buildings and yards, with a plant nursery on one side and a rubbish dump on the other. Their new quarters consisted of 2 dark indoor cages and a small outside area where they could exercise. While the lions had been saved from being put down, they'd ended up in even worse conditions than were at the zoo.
Deci la grădina zoologică totuși avea un spațiu cam cel puțin de 3-4 ori mai mare decât aici.
The closure of the zoo also meant they no longer had access to regular veterinary care or good quality food. The council continued to provide a small budget for meat, but no other funding. So all the care, the daily feeding, the cleaning of the enclosure, that has all been done by Dr. Miklaus.
Nu, de 2 ani de zile nu pot să plec, pentru că cu 2 ani de zile numai s-o desfințat grădina zoologică, iar colegii au plecat în altă parte.
Dr. Miklaus began searching for a new home for his lions, and that's when he got in touch with Four Paws.
When the call for rescuing them came to us, we visited them, and it was clear that this can't last for long because their situation was deteriorating really visible from a week to another, and especially the winters were very hard there because it was very wet, it was very dark and very cold, and as they are not very young, the parents are 15 years old, this has a very big impact and is deteriorating very fast the condition of the animal.
At Four Paws headquarters in Austria, the staff were assigned the complex task of organizing the transport of 5 lions across international borders. Their destination, the Lions Rock Sanctuary in South Africa. Now the rescue mission is about to start. Dr. Miklaus has been given instructions as how to best prepare the lions for their journey.
În mod normal consumă carne de cal, dar acum, având în vedere că mâine vor urma să fie tranquilizați, am optat pentru niște plămâni, niște organe, ca să fie o mâncare mai ușoară, mai slim.
Having cared for them for so long, Dr. Miklaus has become attuned to subtle changes in their health, their moods, and their eating habits.
Petrica nu e interesat. Este mai slab un pic. Acum are o perioadă, întotdeauna, în perioada spre iarnă, parcă slăbea un pic. Nu-mi dau seama, probabil și vârsta, dar nici nu este interesat de mâncare, deci...
The 5 lions are split into 2 groups. Patrica and his mate Lavinia live as a pair, and their offspring, Marine and Tahon, keep company with 15-year-old Lydia, the sibling of the parents. This division began back in Amir Zoo, when Marine and Tahon were born in 2003. At that time, there was a risk Patrica, the father, would attack the small cubs. Having 2 groups in such a small facility has made it difficult for Dr. Miklaus to manage them, particularly when it comes to recreation. The larger space outside provides an area for exercise, fresh air and natural light, but they can't all occupy it at the same time.
Deci erau făcuți cu rândul, încercam să-i țin pe ăia o săptămână înăuntru pe ăștia, să le dădeam drumul consecutiv afară, deci intrau și ieșeau pe rând.
The father, Patrica, has a preference for being outside, and that makes him reluctant to go inside for food.
Dar duce la mâncare, dar se teme că îl închid iară. În momentul în care mă duc acolo, el va intra. În momentul în care vin acolo, el iese afară să uită la mine. De obicei, de aia, întotdeauna la felinele mari, lucrează 2 oameni. No, dar acum, cum n-am avut, e destul de greu să mergi acolo, să vii aici.
These kinds of issues won't be a problem when they move to their new home in South Africa.
Mă bucur că vor ajunge într-un loc propriu. Pare cum m-am și atașat de ei. Dar, în mod cert, trebuie să ajungă acolo unde le este locul.
Over 8,000 kilometers away at Lions Rock in South Africa, the Amir 5 will be joining many lions and other types of big cats, rescued from Romania and neighboring European countries. Those feline refugees were very much the driving force behind establishing the sanctuary in 2006.
So it was clear that there is a huge need, and Four Paws decided that if we will create a sanctuary, that it should be in a country or on a continent where the lions are actually coming from and where the habitat and the climate is according to what they need and where they normally would live.
Unfortunately, being in an appropriate environment doesn't cure the animals of all the sickness and infirmities they previously had. Many of them require ongoing care and treatment. Today, there are a series of operations scheduled, and veterinarian Dr. Peter Caldwell is anesthetizing the first lion. As coincidence would have it, the first patient of the day is a former Romanian lion called Akira. Rescued from a Romanian zoo in 2008, she has a large abscess on the underside of her jaw, which needs medical attention. It's obviously causing her pain and to be ill-tempered. Treating Akira is Dr. Gerard Steenkamp, one of only a few dentists specializing in the treatment of wild animals.
Because their teeth are so long, infection has gone in where the tooth is fractured, and you can actually see the abscesses burst out under the chin there.
Dr. Steenkamp has his suspicions as to what's caused the tooth to fracture.
If you look at the canines, you can see there's healthy enamel, and then it stops there, and the tips don't have enamel on them. So there's obviously something in the development of these teeth that went wrong. And so there was a weak spot there, and in the lower jaw, that tooth just snapped.
Many of the rescued big cats arrive at Lions Rock with damaged teeth. The cause is often linked to them being taken away from their mothers at an early age, and their subsequent diet not providing them with many key trace elements.
Calcium and those minerals which are needed to grow bone and cartilages and teeth are mostly not enough given to them when they are growing. And that means then when they are getting older that those bones and teeth are not strong enough and that they break easier.
Before the abscess can be treated, the dental team need to perform a root canal on Akira's fractured tooth. Holes drilled in the base and tip allow them to remove most of the infected tissue. The remaining decaying tissue is flushed out through the abscess that has appeared under her jaw. To complete the procedure, Dr. Steenkamp will have to drill away some of the bone around the abscess and then plug the hole from both sides.
This is the cement that we put into the canal. By now there shouldn't be any bacteria left there, but if there is, it will help to kill them.
While many of Dr. Steenkamp's instruments are common dentist tools, some had to be custom made to enable him to work with the extremely long teeth found in big cats.
Suturing it closed, and then she'll be woken up.
Okay, let's pick her up. Let's go.
Left untreated, an infection like this would probably have been fatal, especially in the wild, where lions suffering from serious tooth problems die slowly of starvation because they can't properly chew the game they catch. Thanks to the dental team, the worst Akira will suffer is some discomfort as her wound heals. Next, the rescue of the Baia Mare lions finally gets underway.
Have a nice journey.
The day has finally arrived. The 5 lions of Baia Mare are about to leave Romania and the cramped enclosures that have been their home since the town zoo closed in 2013. A large contingent of local and international media have turned up. Four Paws has sent a team of specialists from Romania and Germany, experts in transporting large, dangerous predators.
We will have a look at the facilities and then want to have a talk to the veterinarian who took care about the lions over the last 15 years. So and then we discuss in our team how to proceed.
Even before the examinations are done, it's very obvious to the team that Dr. Miklaus has done all he can to look after the lions, despite a lack of resources and funding.
They're well cared for. They've been treated with respect by the veterinarian who saved their lives.
Saved their lives and made them a big part of his life. It will be hard for Dr. Miklaus to see them go.
Sentimentele sunt împărțite, mă bucur. În primul rând mă bucur că am reușit să-i relocăm. Asta încercăm de cel puțin mai mult, de 2 ani și ceva.
Each lion will be tranquilized. Then medical assessments will be performed to ensure he or she is in fit condition to go into a purpose-built travel crate and make the long trip to South Africa.
There will be a detailed inspection of the teeth, of their eyes, of the bones. So there will be really a lot of parameters that are going to be checked.
Marine is up first. He's one of the 2 offspring of Patrika and Lavinia.
Also very skinny. So the darting outside, it's better but the only thing which is not good, if he is going to sleep in the middle.
Dr. Guritz is worried that after being darted, Marine could fall asleep in the middle of the cage. If this happens, then it becomes very difficult to tell whether he's properly tranquilized, and that makes it potentially dangerous for someone to enter the cage. Fortunately, Marine falls asleep in the back corner of the cage, within easy reach.
There are very sensitive areas, the ear, the nose, the tail tip, so to check how he is running.
Before commencing the health checks, they move Marine closer to the cage entrance to ensure a quick getaway if he wakes up.
Put it with the head there, that when he is getting good. Okay, now we can all the checkups, temperature.
It's common for captive lions to have a number of health issues, usually caused by poor diet, lack of exercise, and not enough exposure to sunlight.
He's a little bit skinny, definitely got the wrong diet. The really black feces, it's a lot of liver and heart, and so it's...
The inadequate diet over the last few years and all the hard metallic surfaces in the enclosure make it very likely his teeth have been damaged.
That's abnormal use here. Occlusion. No, it's not occlusion. That's
it's not occlusion.
This is
Metal part.
metal bars.
The metal bars.
But in general, the teeth looks not too bad.
With the checks complete, the team load Marine into the travel crate. Once inside, the vets will give him an antidote to help him come around from the anesthesia.
Marine is first loaded. It's great. He's now calm, so I hope that he will not give any alarm signals to the other ones, because he knows what was going on. So hopefully he doesn't tell them, hey guys, watch out, there is a guy here with a gun, so hopefully. But he will sleep now, he will get the antidote, we will close the doors, and he will be the first ready to go.
Have a nice journey.
Back at Lions Rock, the operations are continuing, but this one isn't a dental operation. Wildlife veterinarian Dr. Peter Caldwell is dealing with the unusual case of Fiona, a 9-year-old lioness who doesn't look like a lioness.
Well, she and he is a hermaphrodite. She's got an overdeveloped clitoris in her vulva region, which is a very good sign that she is a hermaphrodite. And she's got 2 scrotal sacs without any testes in, and she tends to want to mate with other lions. So we're going to go and see what kind of sex organs she's got and then remove them, because if there is a uterus in there, it's a potential for an infection.
Having both sex organs in the one lion is unusual but not unheard of. Typically, it's caused by a lack of genetic diversity in the breeding population, resulting in closely related animals mating with one another.
Congenital genetics, yeah. Inbreeding is the most common cause of hermaphrodites in the lion population.
These kind of genetic abnormalities are rife at breeding farms. Fiona was rescued from one of these places, as were a number of lions here at Lions Rock. Ironically, before Four Paws bought this property, the land was used to farm lions.
It was a game farm and a breeding farm for game and as well as for lions mainly. He also had cub betting. He had young lions here at the lodge.
Lions Rock may have been turned into a sanctuary, but there are many places where lions are still being bred. Some estimates suggest that there are 7,000 lions being raised in captivity in South Africa.
We're breeding very beautiful, very intelligent, very long-lived social animals like veterinary chickens.
You see a lot of these breeding facilities, specifically in this country. The conditions that these animals are raised are so poor, unhygienic, and the people that do it are totally oblivious of any veterinary and medical and health aspects of these animals.
The purpose of all these breeding farms is to provide lions for South Africa's hunting industry and also the lion blood and bone industry.
In order to provide a constant supply of living targets, the hunting industry has had to turn to captive breeding.
Lions living in the wild are rare now, and not many countries allow them to be shot. To shoot one costs upward of $100,000 and entails a trip to somewhere like Tanzania.
It's much cheaper to fly out to South Africa and have a lion ready-made to be shot.
Shooting a lion bred in captivity costs around $50,000, and it's anything but a fair contest. Typically, the lion is released into a small area, and being accustomed to humans makes it an easy target.
The target animal is unfairly restrained from escaping the hunter, either by physical constraints such as fencing, or by mental constraints such as being habituated and bottle-fed and raised by humans.
Shooting captive lions is called canned hunting. It's legal in South Africa. It generates a lot of money, and it relies on the existence of the lion farms.
I feel that that is unethical. It is something that is cruel. I think the lions do know and realize it, and they have feelings as well. And I'm totally against it from a personal point of view, and I feel there's no need for it, and I feel that the revenue generated for something like that is not nearly enough to justify what actually happens with these animals. I've seen enough to be totally against it.
Fiona's sexual abnormalities are no doubt a result of lion breeding for the canned hunting industry. So operating on her is one way for Dr. Caldwell to express his opposition to those practices. Genetic issues aside, Fiona also has a large tumour on one of her nipples that needs urgent attention. This could be a long and potentially dangerous operation.
Most likely a melanoma. That's a highly malignant tumour, but it could just be granulation tissue as well from lying on the stomach and it rubbing, and chronic irritation can cause melanomas and basal cell carcinomas and all sorts of types of cancer, or neoplastic type of cancer.
What does the tumour mean for Fiona? That's next on Wild Animal Rescue. At Lions Rock, Dr. Peter Caldwell is performing surgery on Fiona. She has a serious cancerous tumour which has to be removed. But first, he wants to investigate her sexual organs. She's an hermaphrodite, meaning she has the sex organs of both female and male lions.
There is a male organ in there.
Dr. Caldwell intends to spay Fiona, which entails removing her uterus and other sexual organs.
I'm tying off the uterus and the ovary. Everything's not where it should be.
It turns out the spaying is the easy part of the surgery. As he explores further inside Fiona's abdomen, he discovers a network of blood vessels where there shouldn't be any.
So this is a situation here.
Tracking exactly where the blood vessels go requires a much larger incision than normally happens for a spay.
Initially I didn't make it wide enough, that's why I didn't see that blood vessel supplying this growth here. And it was branching off It was branching off the blood vessel that goes to the uterus, which is most unusual. It's actually the first time I've seen that.
The blood vessel is connected to the nipple that has become a tumor. Normally, a spay would take around half an hour, but Fiona has now been in surgery for almost 2 hours.
She's not relaxed enough, eh?
Throughout the operation, Nurse Angelique manages the anesthesia. It's a constant balancing act, making sure Fiona is relaxed, but not so deeply sedated that her vital functions slow down too much.
She's breathing a bit faster, yeah. I'm not unhappy with it. We're still all right, I think.
Dr. Caldwell has managed to isolate and tie off the problem blood vessels. Simply removing the tumor, but not the blood vessels, would have increased the chance of new cancers growing.
We explored the whole abdomen and found 2 branching blood vessels on either side to this growth here that I'm going to remove now. So the surgery is not done yet.
Dr. Caldwell uses a cauterizing tool to cut around the tumor.
I tend to like to use this, especially if there's cancer involved, because you don't want any excessive bleeding and spread of the cancer. The recovery time is going to be a lot longer. She's going to sleep a while. Eh?
It's been a big operation. Fiona remains an unusual lion, but everything has been done to give her the chance of living a longer and healthier life.
If this was anyone else or any other facility, they would have opted for euthanasia. Most people don't want to spend money on things that don't look like lions.
This amount of care and work is typical of what happens at Lions Rock, attempting to right some of the wrongs these animals have endured. On the other side of the world, the Four Paws team is busy preparing Lions Rock's next arrivals. 5 lions from the failed zoo in the Romanian city of Baia Mare. 12-year-old Tahon is the next to be sedated and examined.
So the general condition of him is a little bit better than the first one. The claws are okay. We have a look on the teeth. He was a little bit fat in the past. He lost a little bit of weight, but the skin is still there.
And what we can do?
Surgery. Now I guess if he gets some exercise, really good diet, then he will improve.
Tahon is one of the lucky ones. Many of the animals rescued by Four Paws suffer from long-term medical complaints caused by the conditions they were kept in. With a proper diet and the space to roam at Lions Rock, Tahon should return to good health within a few months. To coincide with the rescue and promote awareness around the plight of lions in captivity, Four Paws is putting on a street theatre performance in the centre of Baia Mare.
We gather here today to say goodbye to the 5 lions. So they will go to Africa, where they belong for real. And we try to emphasize this in order to show to the people the life in cage of this animal.
Sadly, Romania is a hotspot for animals being kept in inhumane conditions. Over 1/3 of the big cats at Lions Rock come from this country.
They don't know how the grass smells. They don't know how to walk on the ground because they were staying on the concrete cages, and they don't know how the African sky looks like. They don't know how to hunt. They don't know how to be a real lion.
Four Paws stages events like this to change the way people think about animals in captivity. If they can get the public on board, then they have a better chance of persuading local politicians to tighten the laws around animals in zoos and circuses. The ultimate aim is for Four Paws to not have to step in and rescue Romanian animals. Next, the Baia Mare lions finally depart their cramped cages and concrete floors for the grass and open spaces of Africa. In the town of Baia Mare in Romania, 5 lions are being prepared for transport to Lions Rock Sanctuary in South Africa. Lydia, the female with an eye injury, is next to be anesthetized. She's one of the 3 older lions. They grew up in the Romanian state circus and spent 15 years in captivity.
Let's look on the eyes. So the lens is loose and there's fibrin inside.
If you shake it, what happens? It actually moves
It
inside.
moves, yeah. So the cornea is not clear anymore, so the vision is not very good. She hardly can see on the side.
There's no evidence of physical damage to the surface of the eye, so Dr. Goeritz suspects it could be related to her environment and living conditions.
It doesn't look like a trauma from outside, because the cornea is not too bad, but it could be a stump trauma, jumping, whatever, or it could be also related to alimentation. So we have to check the blood for diabetes and all this stuff.
Dr. Goeritz can't treat the eye any further here, but the team will arrange for Lydia to have surgery at Lions Rock once they receive the blood results and have identified what the problem is.
Can you check the thyroid parameters and check for diabetes?
Lydia and the 2 younger males are in their crates and loaded into the transport van. Just the parents, Petrica and Lavinia, remain. Aged around 15 years, they're not excessively old for captive lions. However, their hard lives in Romania, especially in recent years, means they're not in good health.
So this guy needs a longer infusion.
Petrica looks very thin and weak. The small budget keeper Dr. Miklaus had for food resulted in the lions being fed offal and cheap cuts of meat.
Most likely he got severe kidney problems already. So we really have to do severe blood check then.
Kidney problems are common in captive big cats that haven't received proper nourishment or exercise.
And also they have he's got a little bit ulcer here already. Ulcer is a sign that the urea is increased, and urea does increase when the kidneys doesn't work properly. But the blood work will tell us more.
Last to be treated is the mother lion, Lavinia. Her teeth are in a terrible state.
Oh yeah. Yeah, she need major work. This most likely has to be removed, the right upper one, and this need root canal work. So both root canals are open, all 3 actually, but this has to be removed.
Lavinia's fractured teeth and exposed roots are most certainly causing her pain. She will need extensive dental treatment once she's settled in at Lions Rock. All of the lions are now loaded into their transport crates. Ahead of them lies a very long trip, 1,500 kilometers by road to Frankfurt Airport in Germany, followed by a 10-hour flight to South Africa. All up, they'll spend over 30 hours in transit. Their water will be regularly topped up on the journey.
So we are finished earlier than we suspect, so everything went smooth. That's a good thing. No excitement, everything went smooth, that's good.
Dr. Miklaus won't be traveling with the lions. He's afraid of flying, so this is the final goodbye. They've been a big part of his life for the last 13 years. 11 spent looking after them at the zoo, and then another 2 on his own here at the makeshift premises. It's a bittersweet moment, knowing he won't see his friends again, but able to feel satisfied that they will spend the rest of their lives in relative comfort. Dr. Miklaus's work with lions is finally over. The Baia Mare lions aren't the only Romanian big cats to make the long trip to the Four Paws sanctuary in South Africa. Veterinarian Dr. Peter Caldwell has a number of tigers on his patient list that also come from Romania. This adult female is called Lena.
Check that lower canine, that side.
And this side as well. The bottom two canines for sure, hey? Now this is going to be long. It's going to be 3 hours. When we got to her, I evaluated her. We definitely know that she needed potentially 2 root canals. She looked quite good, and I put a dart in a cocktail of drugs that I normally use. Very conservative on the dosage and so on, because she's a smaller tiger.
Lena's dental problems arise from an upbringing very similar to the Baia Mare lions, if not worse. She was one of 10 big cats at the Younis Zoo in Romania, which was shut down in 2007 when it failed to meet European Union standards. With nowhere else to go, the animals spent another 6 long years locked away, with no improvement in living conditions.
Die Tiere werden vom Zoo finanziell unterstützt oder ja, auch gepflegt von den Pflegern. Aber man sieht, dass in den letzten Jahren einfach kein Geld da reingesteckt worden ist. Man muss sich einfach die Großkatzen, die Raubkatzen anschauen. Denen geht es unter diesen Bedingungen sehr schlecht und ich fühle total mit.
When Four Paws was alerted to the plight of Lena and the other cats, they began planning a rescue. Finally, in 2013, all 10 animals made the long trip to a new life at Lions Rock. Now that Lena has settled into her new home, it's time to fix some of the more serious health problems resulting from her previous life.
She went down really nice, she fell asleep well, her breathing was really good. It took about 6 minutes for her to fall asleep, which is on average normally how long it takes. Although I did get an impression that she fell asleep a little bit quicker than what it was normal.
Tigers are the most dangerous of the big cats to work with, so Peter takes extra care when entering the enclosure. But as he gets close to Lena, he quickly notices that she's not responding well to the anesthetic.
Yeah, let's get honest. She's going. There you go. I don't like this.
She's thirsty.
Yeah, she initially just stopped breathing, and we ensured that she had a good airway, and then we started giving her respiratory stimulants intravenously, and then she went into cardiac arrest and her heart had stopped.
Can I do compressions?
Yeah, you can do compressions.
Next, can the medical team save Lena? And the Baia Mare lions finally arrive in South Africa. Lena the tiger has reacted badly to anesthesia and has gone into cardiac arrest.
And you haven't liked this, eh?
Dr. Caldwell and Nurse Angelique are desperately trying to keep her alive.
Can I do compressions?
Yeah, you can do compressions. Angelique started CPR, and I started implementing chemical CPR, where I injected adrenaline intravenously to get the heart to start functioning. And then I injected other drugs to stimulate breathing. I immediately gave the reversal of the sedative. We got her breathing, we got her heart back, and it was probably about 4 or 5 minutes when she started blinking and started showing us nice response.
This is potentially a very dangerous situation for Dr. Caldwell. He must get Lena into a stable condition without being mauled in the process.
When last was this tiger immobilized?
Before she came, we didn't do her centuries here.
We need to do some blood work on her and see what's going on there. If you dart her with xylitol on her own, she's going to die, because there's no reversal there.
It's not unusual for tigers to experience cardiovascular complications while anesthetized. But this does mean Lena's dental procedures will have to wait.
Yeah, so we're going to give her at least 6 months to recover from this before we try anything like that. She'll probably be a bit stiff and sore for the next 2-3 days, but I do suspect that she will be fine, but we need to find out what the cause is. Unfortunately, we weren't able to take any blood or do any clinical evaluation, so we have to reevaluate the drugs that we're going to use to immobilize her next time. So we probably have to use a different drug combination.
Lena was fortunate to have such an experienced team taking care of her. Her dental appointment would be rescheduled once blood samples have been taken and Dr. Caldwell is satisfied it's safe to anesthetize her again. After nearly 2 days traveling, the Bayamare lions have finally touched down in Johannesburg, South Africa.
Honestly, I was very stressed about their condition because they were really in very bad shape. And you know, all the transports and all these kind of activities are very stressful for them. And you never know if they make it.
The final leg of their journey is a 3-hour drive to Lions Rock. Most of the 90-odd big cats already at Lions Rock have made a similar trip, having been rescued from a European country. They're curious about the new arrivals. A strange landscape, unfamiliar people. It's a totally alien environment. So it's no surprise Lydia is slow to leave the security of her travel crate. Today, the lions are being released into an adaptation enclosure. At 5,000 square meters, it dwarfs their former home. Once they're acclimatized, they will move into permanent enclosures with even more space to roam in.
I would say mission accomplished. It was very touching to see how every single animal reacted when the crate was open and they were confronted with their new life, with the grass, with the freedom of, you know, open sky, the other lions that are around and they are looking curious at them, the sound of the other lions, and also the huge information that comes with such a place. I think we are not understanding 100% how much it's changing in an animal when from concrete, from a box, suddenly grass. First time after 15 years of your life.
So often, wild animals are the casualties of our human existence. Killed for profit. Their habitats under threat. Made to live in cramped spaces, poorly fed, destined to live out their lives in misery unless someone takes action. Wild Animal Rescue follows the people from the international animal welfare charity Four Paws as they go on daring and sometimes dangerous rescue missions to give animals a better life. In this episode, Four Paws returns to Gaza, where animals at a struggling zoo are in desperate need of aid.
Atmosphere is bad, people are frustrated, there is no more worker.
Decrepit facilities make for hazardous conditions for both animals and rescuers. And tensions in the region put the mission in jeopardy.
There is problems here in Gaza to 30 places shot.
Khan Yunis Zoo in the southern Gaza Strip was called the worst zoo in the world. In 2015, it made international headlines for displaying the stuffed carcasses of animals that died of starvation and neglect at the zoo during military conflict in 2008. The zoo had fallen into disrepair, but some animals still survived there, despite appalling conditions and the ever-present threat of war. In mid-2015, Four Paws sent emergency response teams. Led by veterinarian Dr. Amir Khalil, they provided food, water and medical care for the animals of Khan Yunis. Now Dr. Khalil is back with a bigger team and a much bigger objective.
The zoo is in very bad condition. The animal is in very bad condition. And I hope during this visit we'll find with the owner a long-term solution that Four Paws is able to take responsibility and to find a safe place for this animal.
Dr. Khalil arrives in Gaza late at night and heads straight to Khan Yunis. It's 4 months since he was last here, so he wants to see the state of the animals and to talk with the owner who first started the zoo in 2007.
وإني أنا سويت إشي إني أفرح ابن الشعب الفلسطيني. سويت إشي ما كانش موجود في قطاع غزة إطلاقاً ولا واحد فكر فيه.
Ziad Awida is a businessman with no previous experience in running a zoo or caring for animals on this scale.
كل يوم 100 بص. كل يوم. كان يوم الخميس يبقى عندي 100 بص. ال100 بص كل بص فيه ما يقل عن من 50 ل 70 طفل. يجوا كانت الحديقة تستوعبهم. كنا نعمل يعني حاجات للأولاد حاجات غريبة جدا. نيجي لنا بالنمر ونخلي الولد يلعب بالنمر.
In 2014, war in the region again prevented the zoo staff from coming to work, and more animals died from neglect. As animal numbers waned, so did the visitors, to the point where there was no money to pay workers or even feed the animals. And now it sounds like the zoo and the animals are no longer a priority for Ziad.
أنا إلي سنة ونص ما دخلت الشيء. سنة ونص عشانك أجي. لأن كل ما باجي هنا بروح على المستشفى. لأن أنا تعبت في المشروع هذا. تعبت تعب مظبوط. مش يعني أنا ربيت الحيوانات زي ما ربيت أولادي. لكن يعني للأسف.
Owner is like a businessman. He have a lot of loss of the animal, a lot of loss of business. It's not running, no more visitor, so under huge pressure.
But the situation here can no longer be ignored. There were 44 animals when Four Paws first inspected the zoo in 2014.
Some of the birds are stolen, some animals die during the winter, some animal might be sold to other places.
Now, there are only 15 animals left. Come daylight, and it's plain to see the sad state of the zoo and the amusement park next door. People used to come here from all over the Gaza Strip, but those days are long gone. The zoo closed its doors to the general public 7 months ago, and with no takings, there's no money for electricity, food, or water. The fate of the animals rests with Dr. Khalil and his team.
We just try to make a plan now. We at first I have to seek the place where we could work and move. I think this place we shadow. It's good to examine the animal here. One team will make assessment for the security, like to check really the cages, to make how the zoo look like, what is the map, the cages situation, exact number of animals, species of animals.
The 15 remaining animals consist of Laziz, a 9-year-old Bengal tiger, a single pelican, 2 porcupines, an emu, 2 buzzards, 2 tortoises, a deer, and 5 monkeys. For most of the last year, Four Paws has paid the cost of feeding and caring for these animals in anticipation of the day when they could move them to a better place. But many of them are not in good health. The owner has reported that a female vervet monkey has been coughing, so Dr. Khalil is going to check her out.
Robert, hast du ein kleines Apfelstück?
The cages keep the animals contained and offer shelter, but the concrete floors and metal surfaces will be hot in summer and cold in winter.
It's less space, there is no ropes to climb, no enrichment, no hidden plates he cannot hide.
Besides the coughing, there's another reason Dr. Khalil wants to check out this monkey.
This is a female, 3 years old. According to the owner, it's pregnant, but we will see now if she is pregnant. She's pregnant.
Dr. Khalil also notices the ends are missing on a couple of her fingers.
I think because of the cages, the wires are tied by not maybe the best way. They deserve a better place, my opinion. And I hope we will be able in the coming days to improve the condition or to find a long-term solution.
But will the zoo owner agree to the long-term solution Dr. Khalil is proposing? A Four Paws emergency response team has come to the Gaza Strip. Led by Dr. Amir Khalil, their aim is to rescue 15 animals from what has been called the worst zoo in the world, Khan Yunis.
Animal dies, the same dead animal are the same. Nothing changed. It's more bad. And if we come next year, even we will help, it will be no more animal.
While Dr. Khalil negotiates with the zoo owner, the rest of the team head to the local market to stock up on supplies.
So our main task now is to find the food for the animals, that's meat, that's also vegetables and everything, so that we can feed all the animals individually.
Elizabeth is hoping Dr. Khalil can persuade the zoo owner to close the zoo and let them take the animals out of Gaza.
Last night there were long negotiations. Now they are talking about logistics, documents. I'm hoping and I'm very optimistic.
Until a deal is reached, the team must ensure the animals not only survive, but are healthy. That will increase the chances of a successful move, if it goes ahead.
We fed them yesterday, but as you can see, they're still very hungry, very motivated.
The same cannot be said of the few people still working at the zoo.
Motivation is down. Atmosphere is bad. People are frustrated. There is no more worker, only it is a family. Father don't come here.
So this one is for the deer. Okay.
The zoo is managed by the owner's son, Muhammad Awida. At 25, he spent all of his adult life working here.
كنت كل يوم أجي أنا الصبح يعني أطعم هذه الحيوانات وأشربها واللي كان بده علاج كنا ننقذه وكنا يعني ننظف عند الحيوانات تستقبل الزوار أورجي الزوار إيش في كان إيش في عندنا مثلا حيوانات لأنه مثلا أورجي مثلا يطلبوا مني إنه مثلا وقت الشيء أنا بينه وبين قديش عمره كذا إيش بياكل إيش كل هذا كله أنت كنت فاهمه للناس.
Laziz, the Bengal tiger, was the zoo's star attraction. Sadly, he had a sister who died during the conflict in 2014.
معظم جبنا النمر 4 كيلو، اليوم عند النمر بيزا 130 كيلو، كنا نوفر لهم كل الإمكانيات على أساس إنه يعيشوا في راحة، لكن الظروف حكمت إنه إحنا في هالوقت هذا.
Like most of the animals at the zoo, Laziz was smuggled into the country through tunnels running underneath Gaza's border with Egypt. The tunnels are also used to smuggle weapons into the strip, making them a target for the Egyptian and Israeli military. This makes the importation of animals an extremely dangerous and expensive task. There are 6 zoos in Gaza, and Khan Yunis isn't the only one where animals have suffered extreme hardship. Rafah Zoo was severely damaged during the 2014 war, and many of its animals died. And the nearby Mara Land Zoo made headlines by painting stripes on donkeys to replace 2 zebras that had died from starvation during conflict. But Khan Yunis has the unusual distinction of still continuing to exhibit its animals even after they had died. Not wanting to totally write off the money he'd spent importing them, the owner embalmed 50 animals himself by following online tutorials, including Laziz's sister. Unfortunately, Dr. Khalil's negotiations with Ziad aren't going well.
He was looking for a financial support to help his family, and we can never come together. We are not able to come to common agreement.
Dr. Khalil's #1 priority is getting the animals into better living conditions.
Best scenario, takes the animal out. Second scenario, we will give some support, but not forever.
Four Paws has provided that support for the last 12 months. But they've not seen enough of a commitment from the owner for it to continue.
We have to give a lesson also to the people. It's not the way if you are not able to solve your problem, the help will come from outside. You have to start yourself. If you love your animal, care for them.
With it being Ramadan, all business must be conducted at night. So on the second evening since arriving in Gaza, Dr. Khalil meets the owner and his sons in one last-ditch attempt to reach an agreement.
Luckily and surprisingly, after long discussion, we agreed that the zoo owner will hand over from tomorrow the animal to Four Paws, and together within the coming period to find long-term solution for this animal.
Stage 1 of their mission is accomplished. They've secured the owner's permission to take the animals. Next, the team will return to Four Paws headquarters in Vienna to plan the complicated task of transporting the animals out of the Gaza Strip. They'll need to find species-appropriate homes for all 15 animals and acquire permits to move them across international borders. And being a charity, they'll also need to raise the funds to make all of this possible. All of this planning could take several months, so Dr. Khalil's team are trying to improve the living conditions for the animals before they leave.
What we are trying to do now, just to see in the next days what should be done. Like there is water problems, like we would like to buy maybe 1,000-liter tank of water or 2,000-liter water tank.
They're also assessing whether each animal is in the best possible enclosure.
Like the pelican was here, it's very narrow. So if he tried to fly, he wounded himself.
Many of the enclosures at Khan Yunis are so small, they'd be considered illegal in other parts of the world. But with plenty of cages now empty, the animals can be moved into more generous spaces.
We will clean out another big enclosure for the turtles.
For the turtles?
Yeah,
okay.
But I have to clean it up because it's some wood in there and stuff like that. Then we will move the turtles there. This will be no big challenge because someone will take them and move them.
That will be the easiest move of the day. With their incredibly sharp spines, the porcupines are more of a challenge.
I don't know yet. I don't prefer today to dart any animal, or in fact with something to cover him and to carry him. But it's difficult animal. It's very quick animal.
It's important that the female deer isn't stressed, so she won't be moved out of the enclosure she's in.
She's pregnant and she will get baby soon. Maybe tomorrow, after tomorrow.
It's likely the team will have departed by the time she gives birth, so she'll be taken care of by local vets. But Dr. Khalil does give us some booster shots before they leave.
This is multivitamins.
The team have one last task before they leave Gaza, and it's not a pleasant one. Removing the carcasses and bones of the dead animals closes one chapter in the history of this zoo.
كانت الراحة الإمكانيات لكن رغم هيك إنه أنا مبسوط قدمتها اليوم للمؤسسة.
And when the living animals are finally taken away, Khan Yunis Zoo will come to an end.
تستمر الحياة تاخذ حياتها. أنا بالنسبة لي أنا ماليش مفر غير إنه أنا يعني ما هي شغلانتي الوحيدة إنه أنا يعني بحب الحيوانات ومدموج مع الحيوانات لكن رغم هيك يعني قاسي يعني حاشتغل بشغلانتي أنا من أجل إنه أنا تعيش الحيوانات إنه تبقى مبسوطة الحيوانات وتعيش في حياة كريمة زي ما أنا بتمنى لأنه أنا هذه أمنيتي.
Next, the rescue team swings into action. Two months later, and after much planning and coordination, the Four Paws rescue team arrives in Tel Aviv, Israel. Including Dr. Khalil, there are 12 team members assembled from all over the world.
So we are back in Gaza. We are not yet in Gaza. We are back in Israel. And the main mission is to evacuate all the animals from Khan Yunis and to close this capital of Khan Yunis forever. After all of us get the passport, we will go through here with all our luggage. After this, we'll come to a special corridor.
As mission leader, Dr. Khalil is anticipating that he will have his hands full dealing with negotiations and security for the team. So he's brought in two veterinary experts.
From the animal point of view, things should not be a problem. But I think the most difficult part will be actually the transport and all the, the passing through.
First thing we have to do there is to get an overview and how we proceed, because we are working with tiger, for example. It's always dangerous, so safety first.
Expect is unexpected. This is the type of the missions. Expect is unexpected.
While he's preparing the team for the unknown, Dr. Khalil hopes to complete the mission in 3 days. Tomorrow, they'll inspect the animals and plan the transport. The day after, they sedate and pack all of the animals. And early on day 3, they're due back at the border. En route to Khan Yunis, the team receive an update on the state of the animals. And for some of them, it's not good.
One animal died, a very young deer died because of the inappropriate fencing. It got injured, and then the second bad news was that 2 porcupines vanished. We are trying to find out now what happened. It's not a very comfortable situation because either they've been killed or they've been traded or whatever. For sure they are not in a better place. So what we try to find out is where they are, if they are still alive, and to integrate them back into the group and to rescue them as it was planned.
It's not a good start. The team are now nervous about what other surprises await them at Khan Yunis. On their first walkthrough, their worst fears are put to rest. The work the team put in before leaving last time has paid off. All the animals appear to be in good health. Dr. Gurit is especially interested to see Laziz the tiger because he has the longest journey ahead, traveling all the way to South Africa.
The animal itself doesn't look that bad. He is bigger than I thought, or I got the information. So he's a little bit excited. You see he's running around, but his general condition is not so bad. But the enclosure, it's far away from ideal to load an animal, so we have to think about how we proceed.
Normally, dangerous animals are sedated, but tigers don't respond well to anesthesia. Tranquilizing Laziz twice would increase the risk, so the plan is to give him one shot at a veterinary clinic in Israel, just before he flies to South Africa. The immediate problem facing the team is how to move a large, unpredictable tiger into a transport crate.
If the tiger is close here, it will be easy to put the other cage there or whatever here to cut with some stress, but this is the only way.
The cage has a narrow entranceway and the crate could be placed at one end. Then it's just a matter of luring or persuading Laziz to go in.
It has to be quite fast, otherwise the tiger's freaking out here. And then we have to make sure that everybody is working in this area is safe.
But getting Laziz into his crate isn't the only puzzle. The zoo owner's son has an implausible explanation for the disappearance of the two porcupines.
هو اسمع ان فتح له مجال كبير الصراحه يعني فتح له مجال كبير خرج يعني خرج.
طب هو لو هرب مش ممكن يبقى في الحته دي، مش ممكن حد يلاقيه؟
والله العلي العظيم من الساعه 6 يمكن يا دكتور لحد الأربعة المساء وانا بدور عليه. مرش ابلغ ولا شرطه ولا ابلغ ايش عشان ايش ما يبهدلوناش. كيف انت مش مأمن على حيواناتك؟ قلت لا خليه.
The vets find it hard to believe that two porcupines came out through this hole.
If any animal will escape, all those bars will have a lot of hairs around. So normally this is somebody takes it.
If an animal escape, it will be totally by different way. At first you will see the signs of the animal. Animal cannot pass from here. Number two, it's somebody make it from outside. It's not from inside. But we don't know, we will see. I mean, this is just what we see now.
All Dr. Khalil's team can do is focus on the remaining animals. Having completed their initial assessments, they leave to prepare for tomorrow when all the animals go into their transport crates. Dr. Khalil warned the team to expect the unexpected, and sure enough, on their way back to the hotel, they pass large plumes of smoke. Tensions have flared up between Palestine and Israel, with strikes from both sides. It's the last thing Dr. Khalil needs at such a critical time in the mission.
There is problems here in Gaza. To 30 places shot it. So if you are in any place and one rocket comes to your place, who is responsible? I am responsible. My mission to bring you here at first and take you out before the animal. This is my mission and my job. At the moment, we cannot hide. We have problems. Not only the rockets, not only the border, not only whatever.
At this stage, the mission goes ahead, but the threat of military conflict brings their deadline forward.
Due to the current situation, we come to the decision we have to leave the zoo by tomorrow before the evening. Airstrike could happen again during the evening there, and then we are totally out from
We are too far from anything.
everything. Take the animal, the team come to a secure place.
With problems mounting, the team finally receives some good news from the zoo.
We get a call from the owner. The tiger is now, they put the green cage and this, and the tiger between the green cage and the other cage. And he's waiting instruction from us how we should follow. So we have now a rough plan. We have to buy some equipment, some tools. The vets have to repair their equipment, their medicine. I think also we have meetings still with the owner, with the lawyers. And after tomorrow early morning, we have to be at the border. That's it.
Dr. Khalil and Dr. Guritz head back to Khan Yunis, fully expecting to face the challenge of getting Laziz into his crate. But Mohammed has a surprise.
We discussed what we can do, and the owner said he can try really to bring the tiger into the cage without any stress. And we gave it a chance and said, okay, he get time until 4 o'clock p.m. and if the tiger is in, then we are more than happy. And when we came here, the tiger was in without stress. And now, as you can see, in comparison with the morning when we were here first time, he was showing signs of stress. Right now, I have the feeling that he is happy about having a hiding place, a shelter.
It's at least 36 hours before the animals will leave Gaza. And while it's not ideal for Laziz to spend so long in the crate, it has removed the risk that goes with sedating him twice.
Right now I'm really, really relieved that we don't have to do 2 anesthesias in a short period. Now we managed even to get water into the cage, and when we make sure that he get enough ventilation, I'm pretty sure that he's feeling very comfortable and very stressless.
Next, the disappearing porcupines miraculously reappear. It's day 2 of the rescue mission in Gaza and likely to be a long one, with the Four Paws team planning to remove 13 animals from Khan Yunis Zoo. On the way to the zoo, they receive some exciting news.
We got the good news that the porcupines have returned to the base. Well, we don't know how this happened, but, you know, good news you don't question, so let them be.
So now they're back to the original plan of moving 15 animals into transport crates and onto trucks. Dr. Khalil is insisting they meet the deadline of nightfall that he imposed the previous day after becoming aware of the threat of airstrikes.
We plan to take 15 animals today, and I hope today by 17 p.m. we will take all the animals and we will wait in Gaza because it will be very risky to stay here during the night.
The zoo is in an exposed area on the outskirts of Gaza, so they'll park the trucks carrying the animals outside their hotel.
The team can have few hours to sleep. We can exchange shift to check the animal, give some water, some food, and it's easy. Here it will be very difficult to do this logistic.
The medical team set up a makeshift clinic in a shady area of the zoo. With the temperature already pushing 40 degrees Celsius, there's an increased risk for the animals.
Wir machen hier Narkosen und bei narkotisierten Tieren ist es immer ein Problem, weil die Thermoregulation nicht gut funktioniert unter Narkose. Also die Gefahr, dass die überhitzen. Darum werden wir hier möglichst schnell versuchen, bevor die Mittagshitze kommt, so viele Tiere wie möglich zu immobilisieren.
Catching the animals quickly without causing stress will help to keep their body temperature down. However, Dr. Rosso is feeling a little anxious about capturing the 5 monkeys.
I had bad experience, which was a little bit traumatic for me. I always say that they are 3-dimensional. They can go like up, down, left, right, you know, and even if they are small, they can bite you.
2 vervet monkeys share the same cage, so the vets have the challenging task of tranquilizing both at the same time. Even Dr. Guritz, with all his experience, struggles to dart these fast and elusive creatures.
Most likely not, huh?
Despite Dr. Rossu's trepidations, it requires a more hands-on approach to catch the second vervet monkey. After being hard to dart, the vervet monkeys are now fully sedated. The female is pregnant, and Dr. Guritz is checking her out with an ultrasound scanner.
She's quite advanced already. So that's the reason why we should try to keep the procedure as short as possible now. So we should hurry up a little bit with her. This is her heartbeat. The frequency of the fetal heart is almost double as of the mother. But everything is fine. The heartbeat, fetal heartbeat is fine.
The tiger, Laziz, has been in his crate for over 12 hours, and with the temperature climbing, there's the risk of him getting very hot. The team place chunks of ice on top of his crate and use a fan to circulate the air. Just before he's loaded onto the truck, he'll be given a light sedative in his drinking water to keep him calm. All of the monkeys have been captured, examined, and treated where necessary. Next is the deer.
We know that the deer is limping, the deer is injured. We don't know how that happens and when it happens, but we also know that the deer had a baby. Unfortunately, the baby died a few days ago. So, and now we are going to do a proper examination, maybe a treatment, and then we'll see.
It's pretty much a normal injury in the fence or something like that. It's like a traumatism, like a trauma.
Sorry.
was quite deep, and fortunately it might need a couple of bandages until it closes properly.
You have more of these bags?
Yeah, yeah.
We cannot suture it because it's infected. So if you suture it up, then it will blow up. So we really have to clean it, and then it has to heal from inside. In the meantime, we have to treat the symptoms, painkillers, antibiotics.
Next up, the escapee porcupines. Wherever they went, it doesn't appear to have affected their health.
I don't know honestly what happened exactly. They were disappeared, but no compromises condition. We have to find them, they have to work hard, and luckily today we find the animal again. So we are not interested what happened, we have them now.
The team pushes on. It's now 4:30 in the afternoon, and with only 3 hours of daylight left, there are still a number of animals to be examined and put into crates. Wherever possible, animals are not tranquilized. The emu is an exception. He is sedated, again using a blowgun.
We don't knock him out totally, but we will calm him down a little bit. They have really 3 claws on each leg, and they are quite dangerous. There's no reason at the end of the day, after all these procedures, that we risk anything. So, and even for the transport, then he is a little bit calmed down. So. Be careful with the legs. Both legs together. Take both.
Even after having the sedative, the emu is still a handful, requiring several men to get it into the crate. That was the last animal. The light is starting to fade, and they still have to get all the crates loaded onto the truck. Fourteen of the animals will have a relatively short journey ahead. They're heading for sanctuaries in Israel and Jordan. But Laziz the tiger will take a much longer route.
Now is the final big milestone of the day, and that's loading Laziz. The crate is amazing heavy, around 400 kilos. We have to carry this for about 300 meters.
Laziz, the last tiger in Gaza, will be loaded onto a plane tomorrow morning and will fly 6,700 kilometers away. He will then be transported to Lion's Rock, a Four Paws big cat sanctuary. The truck may be loaded, but the work isn't finished. Team members will take shifts through the night, providing water and caring for the animals in their crates. It will be their last night in Gaza, with the promise of a new life about to begin. Next, how will Laziz respond to a totally foreign landscape? The Four Paws team has only had a few hours sleep, but are up before dawn. A quick inspection of the crates follows, and then they're off. With virtually no street traffic, they make good time getting to the Palestinian border with Israel.
All the animals seem to be fine. What I would like to do is just give them some water, and maybe for the monkeys, because they were forced in the crates, give them some food.
The truck isn't allowed beyond the border. They park in a secure area and the animals are unloaded. They're then lifted onto a new truck that will take them into Israel. With temperatures reaching nearly 50 degrees Celsius, it's exhausting for the team and for the animals inside their travel crates. Inside Israel, the first stop is for Laziz, the tiger. He's tranquilized and then given a thorough medical check. This is necessary for export permits to be issued. It's also an opportunity to see if there are any health problems that will need further attention once he gets to the Lions Rock Sanctuary.
What I saw already is that there's dental work needed. Otherwise, there's a skin lesion, so we have to take samples. It's maybe a yeast infection or whatever. But otherwise, he is in good shape. He's a little bit overweight. He needs exercise.
Laziz will be getting lots of exercise when he arrives in his new home in South Africa's Free State. Meanwhile, the monkeys have been delivered to their new home, the Israeli Primate Sanctuary.
So I think we should take these monkeys out.
Yeah.
They've been inside for a very long time.
The sanctuary was founded 20 years ago and now houses over 1,200 primates. Many came from a farm that bred monkeys for laboratory testing.
This is the kind of area we are preparing for them already in the other side of our sanctuary.
Coming from cages of concrete and steel, the Khan Yunis monkeys have never experienced trees and greenery before. So they'll be given a few days to settle in before being released into the main enclosure.
It's great that they have so many places to hide.
Exactly, and that's really the most important. Even places where the monkeys ruined their trees, we've made them places to hide. So if they don't want to be in front of people or in front of another monkey, it's also important.
It's only been 3 days, but the team has become quite attached to the macaque monkey.
I just can't wait for him to be released.
That's true.
And
Yeah.
I really look forward to hearing from you the good news once it's going to happen. Yeah?
We'll send you the pictures.
Oh, thank you very much.
Then it's back on the road for the final stage of this rescue mission. The remaining animals are brought to a rescue center in Amman, Jordan. Arriving late at night, the crates are carried to the enclosures and the animals released. It's not until the following morning that the team gets to see whether all their efforts have paid off.
The hard thing for me is always to see when the animals get packed. They are, of course, under a lot of pressure because they don't know what's going on. Seeing them here now, it's really nice because they are really relaxed and they are going to adapt and they are in the shade and they are good. So, mission complete.
We are very tired, but we're very glad to see the animal have shadow, have food, have enrichment, and this is still phase 1, which is, I would call it as preparation.
This facility is a rehabilitation center. Eventually, the animals will be relocated to other sanctuaries, where they will live out the rest of their lives. Laziz arrives later on the same day at Lions Rock in South Africa.
We just open the crate and he can decide by himself when he wants to go out and if he wants to come out. So for us it's important that everyone here is just quiet and relaxed, no loud noises, no whatever he does. Just stay calm so that he feels welcomed and not scared to get out.
Laziz was taken to Gaza as a small cub 9 years ago. Since then, his home has been a cage 12 meters square with a concrete floor, exposed to the gaze of the public, living through starvation and the atrocities of war. This is a totally foreign environment, which is why he's being released into a smaller-sized adaptation enclosure first, 300 square meters. Once the staff are satisfied that he's eating properly and settled in, he'll go into a much larger space.
Hey, good boy. He's super. I think he turned now. It's good.
Laziz is showing the effects of spending more than 30 hours in the crate.
Oh, poop. Oi, oi, oi. No, it was too long. Just sitting, lying.
When you accompany an animal through all this rescue and the transport and all the obstacles that we had in the last days, yeah, I'm refraining not to cry, but are the tears of joy. He was hesitating in the beginning, but now he's exploring, and it is amazing how he's discovering the first tree, the first real grass. I wish that the time of Laziz at Lion's Rock is going to be long, happy, and that he will leave behind all his suffering, pains, frustrations, humiliations, all what was dark in his life so far.
So often, wild animals are the casualties of our human existence. Killed for profit. Their habitats under threat, made to live in cramped spaces, poorly fed. They're destined to live out their lives in misery unless someone takes action. Wild Animal Rescue follows the people from the international animal welfare charity Four Paws as they go on daring and sometimes dangerous rescue missions to give animals a better life. In this episode, Four Paws works with other organizations to find new homes for the animals they've rescued, including a new purpose-built sanctuary in Jordan.
And it's the first time ever that they have felt the natural earth under their paws.
And a rhino orphanage in South Africa facing the constant threat of poachers. But despite the risk and the difficulty of raising these endangered animals, they're managing to successfully return them to the wild.
I'm excited to see them be wild rhino finally.
Amman, the capital of Jordan. It's a big day for a number of animals that have been rescued by the international animal welfare organization Four Paws, transported to Amman and temporarily housed in a transit center. Four Paws are working with a local charity to create the Al-Mawa Sanctuary, a new home for rescued animals, about an hour's drive from the city. Today, many of the animals will be moved from the transit camp to Al-Mawa. While they're not going a huge distance, anesthetizing and then moving a large number of animals, including lions, tigers, and a bear, means it's not going to be easy.
We have three teams. We have the darting team under the leadership of Dr. Zain. We have the examination team up, which is with Dr. Frank and his team. And we have a transport or transfer team.
Many of these animals Dr. Khalil knows well, having coordinated and led the rescue missions that brought them here, like the two young lions, Max and Mona, originally rescued from Gaza, and now much bigger.
I believe they are very, very curious what's going on in the other place.
Despite it being only a temporary stop, the conditions here are considerably better than back in Gaza. The center was set up with financial assistance from the Princess Alia Foundation, following local concern about many animals being kept in substandard conditions.
We went to the very first meeting. The mayor said, oh, there are these zoos that are very bad. Can you do something about those? Yes, of course, we'll try and do something about them. And we had no idea really how to start. And then after that, we heard that Dr. Amir was coming, looking for a regional solution for the illegal trafficking of wildlife. So literally within a couple of days, they transformed it into somewhere that could receive wild animals. Sort of a baptism of fire in a way. We're thrown in the deep end.
At first, Jordan was seen as a transit point.
This was like a transit station, and from here we moved the first animal from here to South Africa to Lions Rock.
But flying animals the 8,000 kilometers from Jordan to South Africa is expensive and risky.
Started the idea why every time when we rescue an animal to move it far away, many thousands of kilometers. And it came the idea that we have to realize a sanctuary which could help not only in Jordan, but help in all the Middle East.
With the first stage of the project now complete and ready to take in its first lot of animals, it's a historic day for Dr. Khalil and the Four Paws team, and Mahdi, the director of the Al-Mawwa Sanctuary.
You know, this is our biggest move. This is the first time that something like this has been done, well, at least on the regional level. No one before moved that number of animals and those species. It's something that everyone should be proud of to be part of this.
Formalities over, they move off to look at the equipment that has been brought in for the move. Dr. Guritz, the chief vet on the Four Paws team, wants access holes in the crates in case of emergencies.
Even we have to dart the animal inside for any reason, for not sedation, for giving. We need access with the dart gun.
Next, the team visit the animals that are going to be shifted. First, the big cats. The 2 tigers were rescued as cubs as they were smuggled across the Jordanian border. The 5 lions came from different places and had been introduced to each other to make a new pride. And Baloo, the brown bear, came from a zoo where he was very badly treated. The move couldn't come soon enough as there is a constant stream of new arrivals. And they're not only large animals like lions and tigers.
So those are our vervet monkeys. Hey!
Many of these animals are casualties of illegal animal trafficking.
You know, Jordan is the corridor in between different countries. So this is why we are very prone to illegal trade and smugglings through the borders, I mean.
And all sorts of things keep arriving.
Iguana? A ranger just came and he has another set of confiscation. We have here green iguana.
We're the only rescue center in Jordan and probably in the whole region. So it's like a must that we take all the animals that they call and say, please take it. Because otherwise the animal would die. They've got no option to take it anywhere else. So yeah, even when it comes to reptiles, we do take reptiles. Snakes, crocodiles.
Everyone has to pitch in, even Princess Alia herself.
3 small alligators that we had. And there was suddenly a phone call, it was the winter, and the electricity had gone off down at the centre. And of course, they need a lot of warmth. I said, well, you better send them up, and we'll put them in the dining room because it's the hottest room in the house. And the next day, there was someone formal who was supposed to entertain for lunch. I said, well, I can't have them in the dining room because it has alligators and snakes in there. Sorry, crocodiles. I thought this is a little bit bizarre.
The Four Paws team are on the road to the new sanctuary 40 kilometers north of Amman. Establishing the reserve required the support of local and international organizations and the Jordanian government, which helped build a new road to allow access to its hilly location.
And we have 4 enclosures down, this way. Okay, for the move for tomorrow.
A large forest was gifted to the Princess Alia Foundation and provides the perfect setting for the sanctuary. Eventually, it's hoped the new center will become an educational resource for locals and tourists. At the end of the day, the team debrief and go over the final plans for the morning.
More important is we work without any stress, really controlled. So we're focusing on doing the procedure well instead of doing as much animals as possible.
But a last-minute emergency means the day's not over. An injured fox has been brought into the center. It's still alive, but in a bad state. Highly experienced wildlife vet, Dr. Thomas Hildebrandt, conducts the examination.
A trauma, and we were looking for free blood inside the abdominal cavity. We're looking for the condition of the liver.
The ultrasound shows the abdominal organs of the fox are all okay, but there are other indications to suggest the fox is in a bad way.
That's very obvious. If you first, this eye region is swollen, and if we expose it, you see the sclera is very, very red. And the other, so if it could be also an infection, then the sclera gets also red. But if you check the other eye, it is absolutely normal. Something, an injury, could be a car, could be a bicycle, could, yeah, something.
These symptoms suggest bleeding in the skull. They decide to X-ray the fox. Sadly, this confirms the bleeding. Unfortunately, there's little they can do except to keep the fox sedated and hope it survives the night. Four Paws works with other organizations all over the world. The Fundum Velo Tula Tula Rhino Orphanage is a wildlife reserve in South Africa, founded by conservationist Lawrence Anthony, who was renowned for his work with elephants. He was called the Elephant Whisperer. He actually lived alongside them for a month every year, and he encouraged a herd of elephants to become established on land he had set aside for them. Lawrence passed away in 2012, but it appears he's not been forgotten by the animals he loved so much.
Since Lawrence's death, the elephants come to Lawrence Anthony's house. I witnessed it twice. They didn't come straight to the fence, but they came from the other side of the reserve, walking here and coming up, and then they just walk like that. But it's crazy to see. I mean, Lawrence was part of the herd. He literally lived for almost a month with them. So every year since the death of Lawrence, they come back to main house.
What makes it especially remarkable is that the herd comes on the very day that Lawrence died. Tula Tula is still owned and run by his wife, Françoise. But since 2009, it's also been home for a rhino orphanage, offering a home to young rhino that have lost their parents due to the activity of poachers. Despite being highly illegal, the slaughter of rhino for their horns continues at an alarming rate. The Tula Tula Rhino Orphanage is run by Karen Trendler with help from Four Paws. Karen is one of the world's leading experts on this endangered species. Ituba is the most recent arrival at the orphanage, having lost his mother a couple of months ago.
This little boy Ituba comes from a reserve quite close to here. They've had a number of poaching incidents on the reserve. His mother was poached.
At 6 months old, he's still a baby in rhino terms, and not yet able to fend for himself in the wild.
On arrival, he was so traumatized. He then just hated humans. He was smashing himself against the barriers. And on about the 5th day, he suddenly decided, okay, he's going to accept us.
Karen and her team do their best to be surrogates, which means round-the-clock attention, even when he's resting.
They're incredibly tactile. So although this looks like bunny hugging and very cute, it's actually a part of giving him comfort and taking him through the trauma.
Alison is one of Ituba's 3 keepers, along with Axel and Megan.
We're all going to be covered in mud. I can see it. It helps me to get rid of the ticks, protects me from the sun. When I feel hot, I just jump right in here.
What makes this orphanage different is that the young rhino have limited contact with only a small number of humans, 3 permanent volunteers plus Karen. Other places tend to have a larger number of volunteers, which can make the rhinos more comfortable around humans. And that makes them an easy target for poachers.
Oh, good boy.
In the wild, Ituba would be totally dependent on his mother, who would suckle him for up to 12 months and give him constant attention.
Oh, you want to play? Easy, it's me, it's me, it's me.
Being a playmate is exhausting work, and not without risk, with Ituba outweighing them and being able to run twice as fast.
A few times he caught up with me. I wasn't running fast enough, so instead of running into me, he just cut the corner around me and kept going. So I was concerned for a minute, but he decided, I'm not going to kill you today, Meg. You have another day to live. And I appreciate that. It's so fast!
This may look like play, but it's actually an important part of Ituba's rehabilitation, getting him used to interacting with other animals.
The aim is to get him in with other rhino or other calves as well, so that he's got companions and he's completely socialized. Every calf that we can put back into the population that can behave and breed as a rhino is a conservation win.
Within the walls of this enclosure, Ituba is safe, but outside in the reserve, there lurks an ever-present danger.
It all looks peaceful and calm, but in fact the staff and his carers have been on edge.
They're on edge because evidence of poaching has been found nearby. At Tula Tula Rhino Orphanage, Karen Trendler and her small team of volunteers raise young rhino like Ituba.
You got any teeth coming through? Are you teething a bit?
Ituba's mother was slaughtered by poachers because rhino horn is worth astronomical sums to international syndicates on the black market. Currently, it fetches $90,000 per kilogram, which makes it more valuable than gold. In an area suffering from poverty, the ability to earn encourages poachers, but it's the syndicates that make the big money. Poachers are usually heavily armed, making them a threat not just to the rhino, but also to the staff.
And there have been post-mortems that we've done on poaching incidents where we have found bullets that have been from 2 or 3 previous poaching incidents.
The situation has become so critical that Karen has been forced to call in anti-poaching experts to advise and help improve security. They've looked over the reserve and surrounding area, and what they've found isn't good.
20, 30 snares. Yeah. They knocking maybe 2 or 3 impala. When they come in, they load those up. It's close to the road. Then they exit. These carcasses are lying all over the place.
So it's close to here?
In that valley there.
Yeah.
Mark has found evidence of game poaching on the reserve. This is a real worry, as quite apart from the destruction or theft of the animals, it's only a small step for them to go after one of the valuable rhinos. There are already guards on the reserve, but Mark is suggesting a more hard-nosed military approach.
I've never been one for guns and weapons, and I've always sort of steered away from them. But for me, this morning, standing in the kitchen, just having like all the camouflage and the weapons around, there was this strange sense of safety.
Despite feeling safe, Karen's not comfortable with more guns and guards.
For you guys, it's life. For us, we don't go into this to be weapons and thinking like criminals and snaring. You go in because you love animals, and you're suddenly forced into thinking a different way.
Karen thinks she has good reason to fear for her rhino's safety, especially in the wider reserve, where one of the adult rhinos has a strange injury to one of its ears.
Just that much of her ear was taken off. It wasn't a snare, there's something else very funny on the go, and Alison says subsequently talking to her guys, they also don't feel that it was something normal. Let's go look.
This is a good opportunity to treat the wound.
The wound's not healing so well, so we just need to try and get a better look and treat as much as we can in a short space of time.
While they're looking for injured rhino, Mark outlines more of his plan to beef up the security.
See, what I do with my guys is I'll load up everybody. I'll go and pull guns from everywhere, and I just go with 3 bucky loads full of oaks, and it's just guns everywhere.
It doesn't take long to find the rhino with the ear wound and her mate.
We're going to lure them to the car so we can look at her wound. Are you ready, Younis? Hello, Nunu. There it is. Oh, she's perfect.
Alison reared Ntombi and Tabo from calves, so they trust her to get close enough to daub the wound with antiseptic and healing ointment.
Sorry, Nunu. It's all for your own good. But you see the scratches?
Mark mentions that his men found a hyena caught in a poacher's snare, so they decide to take a look. Poachers face harsh penalties if they're caught.
Christmas Day, I caught a rhino poacher, me and my associates here, this guy called Poacher. We arrest them, we take them to a police station, we lay cases against them, trespassing on private property. With the horn and the weapon in his possession, he goes to jail for life.
Oh, no. He suffered, this poor boy. He fought like...
See the
strain in his...
The snares aren't selective, so lots of other animals die unnecessarily. This hyena was of no value for the poachers, which is why it's been left here. It's heartbreaking for Karen.
This hyena's got to me. I don't know why it's got to me so much. Maybe it's just cumulative, or... I don't know why, it just has.
Seeing this makes her even more worried about the safety of her rhino and her staff.
You must understand, if you're pulling your people out,
You're going to have
it's
someone
a
in
month.
here.
You need somebody to cover you.
We've got to keep 2 rhino guards
And
on, or 4 rhino guards.
You need 4.
Because of night and day.
Day and night.
And then 2 to do the bush.
If you want to be effective, a team that strolls and monitors
all the time,
checks the bush, checks perimeters. live in the bush. They don't come back to the house. I want them out here all the time. They can set up a camp in the bush.
For the sake of the rhino, it's got to be sorted before another one is admitted.
At the Jordan Transit Center, the Four Paws team are up early preparing for the long day ahead. Dr. Guritz is setting up the examination area and Dr. Shahin gets the anesthetic darts ready. First up are 5 lions. They didn't grow up together, but since coming to the center, they've shared the same enclosure.
Very exciting, and I think it's very good that we managed to introduce the animals together. Like, it was like 2 individuals, and then we did an introduction, and then we did the second introduction. So it's very nice to see them all together as a one pride, going all together to a new place. Very exciting. Yeah, it's definitely very exciting.
Once it's clear the dart has taken full effect, the first lion is carefully shifted. Many of these animals have little or no medical background because they were rescued from places that didn't keep records. So while they're sedated, it's a good opportunity to do a full checkup in the temporary examination area. While the first animal is being checked, the next patient is darted and moved. So far, everything is going smoothly, and the first lion is in good shape.
We checked the heart so far and the kidneys, and these organs look very good, very healthy.
After the animal has had its medical check, it's loaded into one of the crates. Dr. Guritz administers an antidote to the anesthetic to bring the lion out of deep sedation. It won't wake him up completely because it's better for the animal if he's partially sedated during the trip. The next lion arrives and another checkup ensues. It's an exhaustive process. They take blood samples and scan with ultrasound and X-rays to get an overall sense of the animal's health. And this animal appears to be in relatively good health as well. If this continues, they will definitely make their end-of-day deadline.
So far, we stick to the schedule. So now we are waiting for the third animal. And so far, we didn't find any major pathology, which is good.
But their luck runs out with the fourth lion, a 7-year-old female.
Yeah, she is from outside a very healthy animal, but inside with ultrasound we found some difficult observations which indicates that she has a health problem. The major health problem is based in the heart. The heart is not contracting enough. It is slightly dilated, and that means she's actually a quite sick animal.
The vet decides she's well enough to make the journey today, but they will need to keep an eye on her. The first crates are loaded onto the trucks as the last lion is readied for examination.
Summer is the 5th lion for the day. We have just started her, and we're waiting her to sleep, obviously. Once she's sleeping, we'll just go do the general examination, and off we go.
Summer is in reasonable health, so now they can load all the crates. They find branches to put over the crates to shield the animals from the intense sun. Their destination is about an hour's journey from Amman, up in the mountains. But just when everything seems to be going according to plan, the truck driver reports a problem with his brakes. With the road being relatively steep, he can't go on until they're fixed. This is a real worry. It's the hottest time of the day, and the animals are sweltering inside their crates.
What happened? I think the pressure tube went off.
If they don't get the truck moving soon, they risk losing some of them. It's 1 year later at the rhino orphanage, and it's been an eventful year, especially for Karen Trendler. Diagnosed with cancer, she's been receiving chemotherapy while trying to manage and care for more and more orphaned rhinos.
Part of this whole cancer thing for me was that sudden thing of, oh my goodness, I'm not going to make it. I mean, I really was. And I haven't taught enough, I haven't shared enough, I haven't. It's become a driving thing now, is rather than do it myself, to start sharing and teaching.
Axel is one of a number of permanent volunteers who work here and learn about the intricacies of rhino care.
But because rhino can't digest the rice, you have to blend it. It's like a very disgusting liquid thing. It doesn't look tasty, but he likes it. That's the most important. That's all Karen's expertise.
Axel has become particularly fond of 2 black rhinos.
Black rhinos are very inquisitive, curious, and very, very clever. That's crazy. I mean, they talk much more. These ones, they just, Storm, for example, just talk all the time to you, just come to you and see where you are and just start to like that, you know. So Karen says they talk about the weather.
Nandi came to Tula Tula when she was about 2 months old, after her mother had been killed by poachers. Then a week later, Storm arrived.
Yeah, we are going to give them milk because they are hungry.
2 little miracle black rhino.
Yes, you want. So that's Storm.
At first, Storm was very sick, unable to hold down food and losing weight. It was touch and go, but after keeping him in isolation with round-the-clock nursing, he started to improve.
Just saying to Axel, there's something so relaxing and comforting just listening to them eating.
It have to be my favorite too.
With the black, you like them?
Have to be my favorite.
Rhino have acquired the reputation of being unintelligent, but Axel has discovered that Nandi and Storm are actually very smart.
And one thing I was very surprised is they were around 4 months old. And they were in the neonatal unit, and we had, to close the barrier, it was a system with a latch to lock it. And I don't know how, one morning I woke up with a rhino next to me. I was just, what happened? I'm sure I locked it. And during the day, I saw that both of them understood that it was a latch, so with the top lip, they were just lifting it and just come walk around. It's very clever, you know.
Another recent arrival has made friends with the dog. Her name, Mokosi, came after a chance meeting with Zulu royalty at a petrol station. She was a very sick little calf, and Karen was transporting her to the orphanage.
And we were at the garage in Pongola, and these Zulu royal family came across. And they said, well, what have you got in the vehicle? And we said, a rhino. And they explained to us that the Zulu royalty is linked with rhino. And they said, could we have the honor of naming her? So the Zulu queen named her Makosi, which is leader.
As if a dog and rhino aren't unusual enough playmates, Makosi's best friend is a hippo.
Charlie, a hippo, his pod just left him completely. He was abandoned. And they couldn't work out what had happened. And when he was brought into us, he was also really, really tiny. And we had them in the same room the night that she arrived, with a barrier between them. And little Makosi just would not settle. By 3 a.m. in the morning, I was absolutely frantic. She was just beside herself. So I took a chance and dropped the barrier between the hippo and the rhino, and they went like this, lay on the mattress, and that's been ever since.
Charlie, really?
Axel's getting their dinner ready, but it appears they're in no rush to eat. What lies beyond the gate seems to be of more interest. Karen's efforts to persuade them to come back to the main house don't seem to be working. Neither does Axel's unusual suggestion.
Going to tickle your bum.
Rhino and hippos have poor eyesight, so neither Makosi nor Charlie are likely to see a milk bottle from that distance. But they both have a very keen sense of smell, and eventually they realize food is on offer. In Jordan, the big shift of animals by the Four Paws team has come to a dead stop.
As usual, something expected is unexpected we see all the time. So everything was fine, and now we have problem with the brake, so the pressure. So we have to stop, and the driver tried to repair the car. I hope in the next few minutes we will move. That's, you know.
It's the middle of the day. There's no shade, and the team are getting worried about the welfare of the animals inside the transport crates.
So we're cutting some grass or some branches to cover the crates. So it's not an ideal situation for the animals.
But there's a distinct lack of trees and bushes on the side of the road. The Four Paws team gives serious thought to using large bunches of carrots instead. And just when the carrot seller is thinking it could be a very successful day, the brake problem is fixed, and the truck is off again.
Very good, very good. Thank you, thank you.
The precious cargo arrives. It's a significant moment. The first animals to be housed at the Al Mahwa Sanctuary. Princess Alia is a patron and has come to watch. This moment represents the culmination of years of effort and cooperation between Four Paws and many different organizations, including her own charity. Even now, when they're just about to be released, the team are still doing their best to keep the animals cool. It's been a big journey for these 5 lions, originally housed in poor living conditions, then moved to the transit center, and now, finally, they're here.
Can't cry in front of all of you guys, but yeah, it's just unbelievable.
5:40 we left. Very long day, but I'm happy that the 5 lions are endally safe here with some logistic troubles on the road, with the truck, with some complications. But luckily we are here now, and with effort, big effort from the team, I believe the team succeeded to release the first 5 lions, and it's a great day for all the team here. So we're very, very happy for the success till now.
Tensions are high at Tula Tula Rhino Orphanage following recent signs of animal poachers being active in the area. Manager Karen Trendler has engaged a permanent unit to patrol the reserve.
There are reports at the moment that syndicates that were operating Kruger, now with the increased security, are now operating here. So we're on high alert again. You know, we get used to living like that, but new volunteers coming in or new people coming in just don't have any idea as to, you know, the level of threat that we're under constantly.
The security team is stepping up its activities. Today, they're running a training exercise, teaching a dog to track someone hiding in the bush.
We're gonna go out and show you how if we find something, we find suspect or some foot tracks.
The dog is given a scent to follow.
So I'll take my dog to track and see if we can find any suspect in the bush that was poaching.
If this were real, it would be a life or death situation for these guards. With poachers facing life in prison if caught, they usually shoot when they're discovered. So these rangers have to be prepared to shoot back and shoot to kill. This level of force doesn't sit well with Karen.
Shoot the poachers, you know, shoot to kill, good policy. But people forget what the impact it has on the ranger. That he's taken someone's life, that he's been put into a position where he's had to protect his own life by shooting someone. If he comes from the same community as the ranger, you know, the poacher that he shot, there have been rangers that have had to actually move out of their communities completely because they've been threatened after.
It doesn't take the dog long to find the pretend poacher in a tree. As much as Karen wishes she didn't have this sort of activity on the reserve, it's essential she does her bit to combat the ever-increasing poaching problem.
And even in South Africa, people are actually unaware of how serious the problem is. We've got transnational organized crime on an incredibly big level operating in this country. It's a war. It changes the situation. And even more frightening than that is it's not just rhino. The illegal trade in wildlife, the poaching of wildlife and wildlife parts on a global level is almost equal to the drug and the weapons trade. So really what we're doing is one tiny part of a much, much bigger global onslaught.
Four Paws is very central to this global effort. Back at the transit center in Jordan, the team are beginning another day of moving animals to the Al Mawa sanctuary. But they're off to a bad start with some sad news about the injured fox brought in yesterday.
Unfortunately, the fox died. He died from a brain edema, which means the brain grows bigger and bigger and the skull compresses the brain, and that makes it very severe.
Every animal is important to the team, and they did all they could for the fox. Now they have to focus on shifting 2 tigers and a brown bear. The tiger's response to being darted by Dr. Guritz is very different to the way the lions responded the previous day.
So I guess it was a real proof that tigers are have more temperament than lions. So yeah, a little bit more suspicious.
Once the first tiger is anesthetized, it goes for a medical check. These 2 tigers were victims of a smuggling operation when they were small cubs. Customs officers found them hidden in a cat carrier, covered in feces, dirty and very aggressive. They've been at the centre for more than 2 years now. The first one appears to be in good health. The second tiger has been darted and is ready to be brought in for its checkup. And he will be followed by Baloo the bear. Baloo was spotted languishing in pitiful conditions in a local zoo by one of the co-founders of the Princess Alia Foundation.
She saw Baloo and she came back and she said, "You've got to get that bear," because, you know, it was such a sad situation.
One dart doesn't seem to have much effect.
The dose wasn't enough, so we had to administer a second dart so he can sleep. He's quite fat, that's why.
So the problem is that if you don't know the animal in the background of the health status, and if you don't know the exact weight, it's hard to calculate the exact dosage. And that's the reason why you start with the minimum doses, maybe sometimes if you're not really know the animal, and then you have to take into account the body weight and sometimes if the needle hits a fat pad, then it takes much longer the induction. So the ideal thing is the needle goes straight into the muscle, and then the induction time is much shorter.
Eventually, the second dart takes effect. Once Dr. Guritz is satisfied Baloo is asleep, they have the challenge of moving him. Not an easy task when he weighs at least 3 times the weight of an average man. More tranquilizer is given to ensure Baloo doesn't wake up.
No. He will fall down by this way. Yeah. 3, good.
And then he's given a comprehensive medical examination, including an ultrasound of his chest cavity.
And there's no fluid around the heart. It's not a beautiful view, but it's absolutely okay.
Apart from being overweight, Baloo is in good health. That means it's safe to transport him to the sanctuary. The teams from Four Paws and Al Mawa work closely together to get these last 3 animals into their crates.
Yeah, go slowly.
Hands away.
Yeah.
And then the truck heads out with its precious cargo. Hopefully the trip will go more smoothly than it did yesterday. At Tula Tula Rhino Orphanage, Karen Trendler reveals how she came to be involved in caring for young orphaned rhino.
I never chose to work with rhino. I was doing small mammals, birds, just general game from a rehab and rescue point of view.
But then a rhino conservationist sent her a baby rhino to save. Born premature, there was very little chance it would survive.
And against all odds, total ignorance, we kept the calf alive. And it opened up a floodgate of rhino. There was no choice in it, they just came. And the more you work with them, the more you begin to be passionate about them, the more you see of them. And then when you see them being poached at the rate they are, when you see the brutality, when you see their numbers dropping, it becomes more than just a passion for them, it becomes an absolute fierceness, a desire to protect them. So it's about protecting them now, but also thinking in the future. Can you imagine saying to kids, sorry, we let the rhino die on our watch?
This morning, Charlie the hippo and Mukosi the rhino are receiving their regular skin treatment.
In the wild, they would be getting mother's milk and they'd be having proper mud baths and under normal conditions, so the skin is okay. Once you bring them into a captive situation and they're not out in the wild and they're under infrared heating, the skin dries quite a bit. So we give them the aqueous baths and we do regular rubs. It's actually very calming and very relaxing for the rhino. And anything that you can do to keep their stress down and make life more pleasant, the better weight gain they get and the happier they are, the better the long-term chances for us putting them back into the wild.
There are older rhino at the orphanage that are getting closer to going back into the wild, like Ituba. Axel has cared for Ituba ever since he was first brought to the orphanage.
My first orphan rhino, so yeah, it's a special boy. Ituba, for the first 4 months, you have to spend all the time with them because in the wild they got the mom, it's the big protection, so when they are scared they got this big tank to protect them, so they always seek comfort at a small age. So yeah, that was a quite traumatized baby, but after a few months, yeah, he was fine. He started to grow up and he was more independent.
With no mothers, Axel and the other volunteers must act as surrogates to the young orphans. Not surprisingly, a strong bond forms between human and rhino. However, it can't be allowed to last too long if that animal is ever going to fend for itself in the wild.
And now we arrive at the stage he's been introduced to this free rhino, and he doesn't want me anymore. He's the big male, so yeah, he just wants me out, which is good.
Karen's ultimate aim is to return each of her orphan rhinos to the wild.
There's a huge concern when you're rearing rhino. You have to try and find that balance between giving them appropriate mothering and comfort, which entails bonding, having a human bond with that calf. But at the same time, you don't want that little rhino to become too humanized, because when it goes back to the wild, you get problematic, and rhino that is too tame and too used to humans becomes much more vulnerable to poaching.
Obviously, when they grow up, you start to put distance and have less contact. And with a rhino like Ituba, I don't touch him anymore. And he doesn't want me to touch him anyway. He will just knock me away.
The current weaning phase that we're going through with Ituba and with Ituba's group is a critical part of the next stage, which is going to happen within the next 2 to 3 weeks. Ituba and Tando, who are two little bulls who came from the same reserve, are going to be moved to a very large camp. And hopefully in 9 months to 12 months' time, they will be free and wild rhino, which is what this is actually all about.
I'm excited. Maybe the D-Day I will be crying, who knows, But so far I'm very excited. I just want to see them in this big boma and just grazing and be wild rhino for me.
Unfortunately, it's not an option to return any of the animals in Jordan to the wild. Raised in captivity, they've never learned the skills and instincts they would need to survive. However, for the 5 lions transported yesterday and the 2 tigers and Balu the bear who are being moved today, a more satisfying and enriching life awaits them at the Al Mawa Sanctuary. Today marks the official opening of the sanctuary. Four Paws and the Princess Alia Foundation have been working towards this day for more than 2 years.
But today we can really look back on a good development, and it's so good that now the first animals will come here, will get here their new homes, and I think it's a big project for the region here, for the tourism in the region, and also for the people here, to learn about the animals. We want to connect the humans and the animals to bring them together in their minds.
So I think it's really a raising of awareness on really learning that this is what an animal should be like, not, come and see it in the zoo and, it's lying down and half dead.
Dignitaries, media, the Four Paws and Al Mawa teams all watch nervously as the transport crates are unloaded and positioned in the enclosures for the release. Before long, the first tiger comes out. He's still feeling the effects of the sedation. Balu the bear plays it safe, giving his new surroundings a cursory once-over before retreating back into the privacy of his crate.
There were a lot of people around, talking, chatting, whatever, so that was not easy for him. And bless him, he's got a point, I think.
The second tiger shows no ill effects from the trip. Clearly, he wasn't happy with the indignity of being cooped up in a box and wants everyone to know it. It will take several days before all the moved animals settle properly into their new surroundings. However, this has been a very successful start for the new Al Mawa Sanctuary.
I left all my studies in London just to come and be part of that, so I have huge respect to what Al Mawa is doing. It's not easy to be in the region and be alone, where Al Mawa is the only sanctuary in the whole Middle East. I have seen miracles here coming true, so no, I have huge respect to this organization. And I'm very happy to be part of it. I mean, I'm blessed.
5 lions, 2 tigers and 1 bear could also be feeling very blessed to be at Al Mawa.
It's the first time that they have smelt a tree, rolled in the earth, smelt real nature around them. It's the first time ever they've been off concrete. And to be a part of that, to help in making that happen for any living soul is really such an honor. Look at that.